Welcome to WWE Attitude Years 2000, where Triple H buried everyone, The Rock roasted everything, and Vince McMahon was out here beefing with his kids. TLC got brutal. The Radicals bailed on WCW, and nothing made sense, but we loved every second. Hop into our time machine, and let's get uncensored.
What is up, everybody? You are checking out the Uncensored Pro Wrestling Podcast. I'm your host, The Hot Commodity, and my hot commodity is here, and we are getting ready to jump into our handmade time machine as we travel to the year 2000, covering WWF Raw is War from September 11th, 2000 in Phoenix, Arizona. We're coming off of a SmackDown that saw Kane chokeslam The Rock through a table, and we saw Triple H and Kurt Angle continue to go at it. We're a couple weeks away from Unforgiven, and also a big important thing that came out from SmackDown, Stone Cold Steve Austin says he's going to go to Unforgiven and find out who ran him over. So a lot to unpack here on Raw. Let's dive right into it. To kick off Raw, Commissioner Foley comes out, and he wants the person who ran over Stone Cold Steve Austin last November to come out and tell him, because it's easier to tell Commissioner Foley than it would be to tell the Texas Rattlesnake. WWF Champion The Rock comes out, and Foley is upset. He's like, "You did this. How could you run over Austin?" And The Rock says, "I admit it. This is the biggest half-assed investigation I've ever seen. I gave my word to everybody, including Stone Cold Steve Austin, that I did not run him over. Stone Cold Steve Austin needs to go to Unforgiven and deal with the son of a bitch that ran him over. I am here for payback." On SmackDown, Kane chokeslammed The Rock through a table. "I understand you had a hard life growing up," and he makes fun of Kane, saying, "Oh no, I got caught on fire. I can't come out and play," like, breaking balls. He says, "I can care less about what's on fire. Kane, bring it to Unforgiven so I can whoop your candy ass." Chris Benoit comes out and says, "Foley, I know you're not stupid enough to let Kane fight The Rock at Unforgiven." That's when both Kane and The Undertaker come out, and everyone brawls, and in the brawl, Kane accidentally clotheslines Commissioner Foley, and he's pissed and says that he will make an announcement later on tonight who will face The Rock at Unforgiven. What did you think of this opening here?
It was good. It was very attitude it gets you psyched for Stone Cold Steve Austin coming back, and it gets you psyched to see for the number one contender. And yeah, I want to see who's gonna win. I think they should have had like a triple threat or something, but we'll see.
Commissioner Foley getting knocked out by Kane.
And I usually don't like triple threats, but in this case, it called for one.
We have a number one contendership match for the tag team championships, the Dudley Boys versus the Hardy Boys. The winners will face the champions Edge and Christian at Unforgiven, and the champions come out for commentary during the match. The Hardys hit poetry and motion to Devon, and then Edge hits Matt Hardy while Matt is on the top rope with the WWF Tag Team Championship. Matt falls on top of Devon, and the Hardy Boys get the victory with some help from Edge and Christian. After Edge and Christian attack the Hardys until the Dudleys make the save, and the Dudleys hit a 3D to Edge through a table. But we will see Edge and Christian defend the titles against the Hardy Boys at Unforgiven. What do you think?
It seems like, basically for the next while, these three are just gonna keep going at it. Once in a while, we see APA in there with them, but they're all good in their own way. And every time you think one of them are on top, the other one kind of surprises you. So it's good.
Which team is your favorite?
When I was little, it was the Hardys, but I'm kind of liking the Dudleys a little more lately.
Okay, all right, the tables. Get the fucking tables, Devon. WWF Women's Champion Lita defends against Ivory next. Ivory hits a sidewalk slam and a really cool looking sit-out powerbomb for a 2 count. Lita then suplexes Ivory, and then naked Midian streaks everybody. Ivory is disgusted, which allows Lita to land a twist of fate and a moonsault, and Lita defeats Ivory.
This is my question. What did Midian do to Vince?
I think Vince wanted to see him remove that fanny pack to see the whole thing. I remember as a kid, I was like, what the fuck is going on when I saw Naked Mini? And I was very confused. And I still am confused.
Yeah.
Like, he was gone for, like, ever, and he comes back, and he's like, I'm a nudist.
But he doesn't wrestle.
It's interesting. Kurt Angle tells Commissioner Foley backstage that he's mad that Triple H isn't wrestling tonight after Triple H attacked him on SmackDown. And Foley is like, I'll book the match as long as you shut up and stop talking. And Angle does so. We then see WWF Intercontinental Champion Eddie Guerrero backstage apologizing to Chyna for his actions on SmackDown.
Right.
It was uncomfortable. He like verbally abused her. He tells Chyna he loves her more than anything. She's his partner for life. And he wants to beat up Too Cool tonight. Chyna forgives him and sort of reluctantly heads out to take on Too Cool, which happens next.
After saying, they're our friends, it shouldn't matter what happens.
Well, Eddie promises that he's gonna dance with Too Cool no matter who wins this tag match. So we got Chyna and Guerrero against Too Cool. Eddie attacks Too Cool before the bell. Eddie won't tag in Chyna, which allows Sky Toddy to land a bulldog. Chyna trips Grandmaster Sexay, but Sky Toddy still hits the worm. But Chyna clotheslines Sky to the floor. However, while Chyna is dealing with Sky Toddy, Grandmaster Sexay hits a hip hop drop to Eddie, and Too Cool get the victory. After they give the shades to Eddie Guerrero and Chyna, and Too Cool and them start to dance, but Eddie leaves the ring and attacks Too Cool with the Intercontinental Championship. Rikishi runs down and makes the save, and then Rikishi goes to stink face Eddie, but Chyna hits Rikishi with the Intercontinental Championship. And we see Grandmaster Sexay is bleeding terribly from this. What do you think? Chyna is helping Eddie Guerrero here with all of this.
Yeah, but she does it very reluctantly. She, you can tell she's caught between a rock and a hard place. She wants to protect her man, but she also feels bad for betraying her friends. And hopefully she'll come to her senses soon.
I hope so. Triple H tells Stephanie McMahon Helmsley to stay backstage because he doesn't trust Commissioner Foley. So we see Triple H taking on Chris Jericho. And this was a rematch from their Fully Loaded match a couple months ago. Jericho hits a spinning heel kick and then slams Triple H into the ring steps. Stephanie comes out again. He told her to stay backstage on SmackDown and she came out. She comes out again on Raw. Kurt Angle comes out to try to bring Stephanie backstage, and then Triple H and Angle fight on the floor, argue, and then X-Pac attacks Chris Jericho from behind, giving Jericho the DQ victory. And after the match, Triple H pushes X-Pac to the mat. He's pissed. So a lot to unpack here. Why do you think Stephanie keeps coming out here? Like, just stay in the back like your husband's fucking telling you to.
She's just, it's making me wonder if she's either stirring the pot or, it's just coincidence that every time she comes out, she fucks it up.
And what do you think about X-Pac attacking Jericho?
I mean, I get that Triple H was mad that he got the loss, but I don't really think it was that important for him to beat him. And I mean, he should have X-Pac was trying to help him, and he wasn't very grateful. That's for sure.
But what is it that X-Pac has against Chris Jericho? I know Jericho beat him, but
he doesn't. He's Triple H's friend. He was helping him.
Yeah, but they had a little issue on SmackDown. X-Pac and Jericho. Something happened on SmackDown between them, and then I get what you're saying, but
it seemed like he was there to help Triple H.
Okay. Chyna tells Eddie Guerrero backstage that she's gonna actually be in Playboy and be nude. And Eddie freaks out. He says, if I have to go to the mansion and attack you, Hefner, I will. You're my lady. No one's going to see you naked but me. What do you think? I mean, do you think Eddie has a right to be mad at Chyna for posing naked, or do you think Chyna should be a free woman?
Well, I mean, I get it. If you were posing for Playgirl, I would be mad. But, Chyna needs to come to her senses before she ends up depressed on drugs and doing porn with X-Pac.
Well, what I don't understand either, yeah, true. I mean, what I don't understand either, though, is that, like, every time Chyna's a badass. Like, she's tough. She doesn't take shit from anybody. But here she is, like, cowering to Eddie Guerrero and, like, being scared of Eddie. And it's like, she's fucking attacked Kane. She's attacked The Rock. She's attacked Austin. Like, why are you afraid of Eddie Guerrero?
I don't think it's a matter of her being afraid. I think they're trying to show her softer side. Like she's more when it comes
For
to
Playboy.
when it comes to a man, she's more womanly and.
Sure, that's why Triple H left her for Steph. Terrible. Rest in peace, China. The right to censor take on the Acolytes next. Val Venus comes out on the stage with a steel chair. Farouk power slams Bull Buchanan. Val Venus gets on the apron and Bull hits a bicycle kick to Farouk, and the right to censor get the win. After Val Venus attacks the Acolytes with chair shots, and is Val aligning himself with right to censor? What's happening here?
He sure is.
You think so?
Yeah, definitely. I think he's going to come out next week in the shirt and tie.
Do you think Val should be a part of the right to censor? I mean, they kind of just grabbed him and threw him into that fucking truck, and now he's representing them. Yeah. Fuck being a porn star.
Right. I don't get how he goes from being a porn star and wearing a towel out to the ring, and every line he says is about his dick and everything else, and his bulge and all this stuff, and now he's with the right to censor.
Well, Bull Buchanan used to be a bounty hunter. The Godfather was a pimp. People can change their lifestyles for the right to censor.
I guess so. For a porn star?
WWF European Champion Al Snow is defending the title against Taz, and this was funny. Al Snow comes out to like a German song, and the Titantron has a picture of Al like waving a flag, and it's a German flag, and it's like shouting like "Humph" and like different like German words. He's wearing like almost like the Von Trapp family.
The old German, I don't know what they're called.
Yodelehi, who like those like you know what I'm saying, like the Ricola, and he's got German sausage around his neck. He's carrying a picture of David Hasselhoff, who is like the #1 German pop star at the time, I guess. Taz locks in the Taz mission, but the referee gets knocked out. Taz tosses Al Snow and the Jerry the King Lawler on the floor, and Lawler breaks the picture of David Hasselhoff over Taz's head, allowing Al Snow to roll up Taz to retain the European Championship. After Taz gets on the microphone and says, "King, I'm done with you. I tap out. I'm done with the WWF. I've become just another victim." So what do you think is going on here? Well, first, what did you think of Al Snow coming out representing Germany? And then what did you think about...
Known as tracked for men. Like, that's exactly...
A German track.
Called tracked.
What do you think of this?
That's Al Snow and his wife right there.
Cool.
I thought it was really funny. Al Snow is definitely a comedian. He, they give him shit to work with, and he always makes it good. So.
And what about King attacking Taz and Taz saying, "I'm done, I'm tapping out"?
That's bullshit. He's just waiting for the King to let his guard down, and then he's gonna attack him.
Well, maybe he can do that while he's fucking the King.
It's possible.
We have a handicap match next. TNA with Trish Stratus against Kurt Angle. Angle says before the match, "I'd like to dedicate this match to my good friend Stephanie McMahon Helmsley." Trish Stratus kicks at Kurt Angle on the floor, and you call that Stephanie McMahon Helmsley runs out and attacks Trish. Tess grabs Stephanie,
Thank you, Trish.
But then Triple H attacks TNA, and TNA get the win by DQ. After Kurt Angle and Triple H take out TNA, Angle checks on Stephanie, and then Triple H gets pissed, tossing Kurt Angle to the floor. Triple H goes to pedigree Kurt Angle, and as he's doing it, Stephanie tries to stop him, and Triple H just back elbows Stephanie in the face, and he then sends Kurt Angle, well, he then checks on Stephanie. Stephanie is on the apron. He tosses Kurt Angle into the ropes. Stephanie falls off the apron to the floor. Triple H checks on Stephanie, walks her up the ramp, and then Angle punches Triple H. So Stephanie continuing to get involved. She got fucked up by Triple H by accident. But, Kurt Angle is supposedly friends with Stephanie, but Stephanie could have gotten hurt, especially when Triple H was bringing her up the ramp. Yeah. Mick Foley does make, at Unforgiven, Triple H versus Kurt Angle with himself as a special guest referee. What do you think is going to happen?
I don't know what's going to happen, but I for sure am excited to see what side Stephanie is going to be on and what she does during that match. I think that's going to be fun to watch. And, yeah, I've always thought that Kurt was all for Stephanie, but when Triple H was carrying her away and he punched him in the face, That wasn't nice. He put Princess in danger.
And the
I think
game's not
Vinnie
happy.
Mac is going to come back and put them all in line soon.
Possibly. Next up, hardcore champion Steve Blackman defends against X-Pac. Steve Blackman hits X-Pac on the stage with a trash can, and then Chris Jericho nails X-Pac in the back with a kendo stick, allowing Steve Blackman to get the victory with some help from Jericho. After we see X-Pac attack Chris Jericho in the back with some nunchucks. What do you think? X-Pac continuing this rivalry here.
Yeah, they were all about those nunchucks.
That's why I thought it was more than just Triple H team, fighting Jericho because he beats him up backstage. Like there's more. I know Jericho got involved, but there was.
I think Jericho was, kind of getting him back for what happened. But yeah, I mean, I don't think anything's really going to become of X-Pac and Jericho. But I would like to see what's going to happen with Jericho or Triple H.
Well, we've made it to our main event. Chris Benoit and Kane taking on The Undertaker and WWF champion The Rock. Commissioner Foley comes down on commentary. Rock applies a crossface to Benoit early on in the match, and the end comes when Benoit has Undertaker in almost like a German suplex maneuver. Kane clotheslines Taker, and Benoit is able to roll him up, so Benoit and Kane get the win. After all four men brawl, they pin Taker. All four men brawl, and Mick Foley makes it Unforgiven The Rock against Chris Benoit, Kane, and The Undertaker in a fatal four-way. What'd you think of that main event match being made?
I thought it was kind of useless. I did not. Didn't Mick Foley say there was going to be a number one contender by the end?
That's what it is. It's a fatal four-way. He said that all three of them are the number one contender. Did you not hear that?
I thought it was a tag.
Baby, the tag team match took place. And then after the match, Mick Foley says they all deserve to be number one contenders. So it's going to be The Rock versus Triple versus The Undertaker versus Kane and Chris Benoit.
I missed that.
Well, hi.
Okay. So the number one contender is
Benoit.
Okay. Well, I think that they need to have. It needs to come down to that. I don't want to see another fatal four-way. I wouldn't mind seeing.
But that's what it is. Fatal four-way match. It's not going to be a triple threat for a one-on-one match. Don't forget it. It's Rock versus Kane versus Chris Benoit versus
at Unforgiven.
Yes.
Well, we've kind of like seen this stuff already. I feel like, but not the same exact match. But like just like a couple months ago, there was like between Triple H and Undertaker and Kane, I think they did the same kind of thing where all three of them were going for the number one contender. But yeah, I think The Rock will end up keeping it, but I'm excited for Stone Cold to come back and maybe he'll put some spin on it. So
possibly. I mean, we'll see what's going to happen, but The Rock's got three challengers ahead of him.
Stone Cold comes back, he's going to be number one contender in no time.
We'll see. Well, we've covered all this episode of Raw's War. Decent episode. Got a lot, to look forward to with Unforgiven. A couple of matches were made. We're going to be covering SmackDown, so make sure you subscribe, like, and hit the notification bell on YouTube. We're also going to be covering NXT Battleground, AEW Double or Nothing. We just covered Saturday night's main event. We've got Raw and SmackDown, also Money in the Bank. So you can also check us out on Anchor, Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, Spotify, and wherever you get your podcasts. Until next time, stay safe and stay uncensored.